Can you see the screen, Nana? Okay. So are the Siyas there? Nana, Akash unnava? Janavi? Okay, Akash is there. Nana, please take care of the attendance, okay? Yeah. And how about Nana? Shall we start unit 3, or do you want me to revise unit 1 and unit 2? Like your mids are from Saturday, isn't it? Did you get the timetable? Did you get the timetable? Okay. So when is your BEFA exam? Someone on your audio, Nana. When is the BEFA exam? So shall I start with unit 3 on 6th, that is Sunday? Okay. So coming Sunday is your exam. Today is first, isn't it? So shall we start with unit 3, Nana? On Friday we can do the revision. If not, what do you say, all of you? What's your perception? Or shall we do revision on Wednesday and Friday, and shall I start unit 3 today? What do you say? Nana, tell me, anything is fine to me. You tell me what to do. Please respond on your mic and tell me rather typing. Revise today, Dharan Tej. Which unit, Nana? A unit shall I revise? Which unit shall I revise? So here, I just want to tell you as how will your paper be. So this time we have been instructed to give little tough and logical MCQs, where if you have to put some effort to understand the questions as not normal MCQs. So in between few logical and tough MCQs would be given. I will even forward you the model question paper as what would be the logical, as this is a new subject for you, isn't it? So you don't know as to how it would be. So I will share you the format by today. So only Dharanjay has responded to revise today which unit and all. So how about the others? And as usual, you don't respond. Tell me what is your perception. Shall we plan on Wednesday and Friday, or what we do today to revise unit 1 and 2, or start with unit 3? Revise on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday and Friday. Friday, you can even ask me the questions regarding doubts. Okay. So on Friday we keep as doubt session and revision, and Wednesday also we'll revise, because even we'll get a clear idea of the questions and what to be revised to you. Why 6K has left the meeting? And as same, how important are the mid exams for you? You need to know. Okay, why? Because as this is a new subject and scoring one, where this would definitely increase your CGPA if you just put a little effort. Okay, so here I'll start with unit 3 then. Is it fine with everyone? Surya Teja and Dhananjay has responded, and CR. Remaining all are okay with anything? Shravya, okay. Shall I start with Unit 3? Portion of mids. Yeah, only 2 units, Nana. First 2 units. First one is economics and business. Second unit is elasticity and demand forecast. These are the 2 units that you have for the mid. Anything else? Shall I start with Unit 3 then? The last concept of business economics is Unit 3. From Unit 4, we have accounts, financial accounting. Okay? Shall I assume that the CR's intention is the intention of all? టైప్ చేసే బదులు ఒక్కసారి మైక్ ఆన్ చేసి యూ కెన్ స్పీక్ ఇజంట్ ఇట్ yes ma'am or no or whatever, respond, isn't it? It's a basic manners that you respond once I ask a question. Unit 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Unit 3 is a big concept which constitutes 4 concepts. Here in Unit 1, you have part 2, that is economics and business. In Unit 2, you have only 2 concepts, that is elasticity and demand forecasting. But Unit 3 have 4 concepts. It's a big unit. But the concepts are very easy if you understand, very simple if you understand. So the first one is production analysis. Part 1.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking. Is it fine now? Is it still breaking?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One second.
clear.
Yeah. So is the screen clear? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is what unit 3 that you have. Uh, unit 3 constitutes 4 parts. First one is a production analysis. Second one is a cost. Third one is the market structures. And the fourth one is pricing. So these are the concepts that you have, and it is a quite big unit, but a simple one, which constitutes many concepts. And let's start with the first one, that is a production analysis. And production analysis need to be referred from Aryashri. Even cost analysis should also be referred in Aryashri. This is a written notes that I am sharing the screen with. You can even refer the textbook if you have any doubts regarding, but the notes have been prepared from Aryashri. Okay, so here for production analysis is what the first one. So in this production analysis, the first concept that you have is, what do you mean by production function? And production function with one variable, then production function with two variable, then returns to scales, then different types of production function. So these are the concepts that you have in part 1 of unit 3 of production function. Okay, so here production, what do you mean by production? In general, when we talk about the concept of production or manufacturing, we start with the process of using an inputs or raw material that we process it by applying certain technology to manufacture or produce the final product. So this all process we constitute as production, and the concept of production depends upon the factors of production. And factors of production, how important it is to get a maximum level of output with a given set of input is known as a production function. And factors of production and the concept of function of production is what the first concept that we have in production analysis. So what do you mean by production analysis? Production analysis or production is governed by certain laws of returns. There are certain economies the firm enjoys because of its size. So what do you mean by size? Economies, what do you mean by economies? What do you mean by size of the firm? So here, this production analysis says that each and every firm enjoys certain advantages and disadvantages based on its size. Economies is nothing but the advantages. Even it may even have certain disadvantages. Economies refer to advantages. Just write down in your book if you have any terms or terminology which you feel difficult. Okay. So economies is nothing but the advantages the firm enjoys because of its size. So size, if the size of a firm is quite big, it enjoys large scale of production, which minimizes its cost and maximizes its profits. So each and every firm has a set of factors of production which is applied to manufacture the final product. And this is even governed by loss of return. So here, what do you mean by loss of return? This is again a separate concept that you have here. But as of what do you mean by loss of returns is what happens to the output when you increase your inputs. So this results in 3: increased returns to scales, decreasing returns to scales, and constant returns to scales. That is known as loss of returns to scales that you have in the next concept. So production analysis governed by loss of returns to scale, and it also says that each and every firm enjoys benefits based on its size. Size refer to its level of operations, its level of production. And production function is nothing but which defines maximum amount of output that can be produced with a given set of inputs is what the definition given by Michael, that is known as production function. What do you mean by it? It's nothing but maximum amount of output. What do you mean by output? Output is nothing but the final product. Maximum amount of output that can be derived with a given set of inputs. So what might be the inputs? Inputs are nothing but it has been defined in the following formula. Q is nothing but the quantity of final product or output. Q is equal to function of L1. What do you mean by L1? L1 is nothing but land. L2 is nothing but labor. C refer to capital. O refer to organization, and T refer to technology. So here, these are the factors of production that are involved in the process of production to get a set of output. Maximum amount of output that can be derived with a given set of input is known as production function, which can be understood with the help of the following formula, that is Q is equal to function of L1 L2 COT. And here the another important concept that you need to keep in mind is which factor of production is important to which form of products that you need to manufacture. Like example, in the case of land, how important is land for a software company? For a software industry, how important is the land? So here the importance of land doesn't play an important role in a software industry. Why? Because this is an exemption example or a proof that in the pandemic all offices are closed, but even the work is going on through work from home or remote working, isn't it? So here, is the land important for software industries? What extent is the importance of land? Land refer to the place where you carry on your business, or where the place you carry on your production process is known as land. So the importance of land doesn't play much important role in software industry. But how come if you compare with that in the agricultural sector? How important is the land? Importance of land in agriculture sector. You can't increase your production unless and until there is an increase in the area of land, isn't it? Though you increase your capital, though increase your labor, you can increase your production to an extent, but not to an optimum or not to a maximum if you keep land as fixed, isn't it? So how important is the land to a software industry in comparison with how important is the land to an agriculture sector? So here, each and every factor of production has its own role played in the nature and type of product that you manufacture or a service you render. Is this clear, Nana, till here? Till here, what do you mean by production analysis? What do you mean by production function? And how is it expressed with a formula? And how important is each factor of production to different types of production functions? Did you follow till here?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is about
ma'am.
production analysis and production function. So here, this is explained in two different production functions. The first one is production function with one variable input factor. The second one is two variable input factor. Let us start with first one, that is production function with one variable input factor. So what do you mean by one variable input factor? That is, we keep labor as variable and capital as fixed, or other factors of production as fixed. What will happen to the production? That is known as production function with one variable input factor. Nana, ఇది మీకు అర్థమైతే very simple. Okay, very simple and important. Production function with one variable input factor is the first concept in production function. And what is it? It's nothing but as per this law, what we keep as variable and varying, increasing. What we keep as varying? Labor. And we keep the other factors of production fixed. Fixed ante there is no change. As per this law, what happens to the production is known as production function with one variable input factor. So this is what happens if we keep units of labor increasing and other factors of production fixed. What will happen to the production? So as per this law of one variable production function, initially the production goes up to a particular point till it reaches to a particular point. The total production, the TP is inverted U, big inverted U, which you can see. Can you see Nana TP, total production, which is a big inverted U? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is what happens if we keep on increasing labor, keeping land, capital, technology, organization fixed as per one variable production function. What happens is it increases to an increasing rate till it reaches a particular point. Then what happens? The production becomes stagnated. Why? Because let us take the example of agriculture only. You keep land fixed, you keep capital fixed, you keep technology fixed, you keep all others fixed, but you go on increasing labor. As per this law, what happens is initially it will increase to an increasing rate up to a particular point. Then what happens? Till it reaches to a particular point, the production becomes stagnate or stagnation. Means no change, same. Then later, if you still go on increasing the labor, what happens is your production will decrease or increase in a decreasing rate. This is known as production function with one variable input factor. This can be seen with three graphs or the three curves. The first one is total production curve. So here, the first one is total production. The second one is marginal production. The last one is average production. So when you go on increasing the units of labor, the total production have been increasing till where? Till 5th unit of labor. Till 7th unit, what happened? It becomes stagnated. From 8th unit, it started decreasing. Did you follow, Nana? Keeping labor variable and increasing, changing, other factors of production fixed as per law of one variable production function. What happens to the production? Initially, it increases till it reaches a particular point. Then it becomes stagnant till it reaches a particular point, then starts falling or starts increasing at a decreasing rate. This is known as law of variable proportion, Anna, the same. Law of diminishing returns, Anna, same. Or law of one variable production function is also one and the same. Is that clear? So this is about total production. Now coming to the marginal production. So how do you arrive at marginal production? It's nothing but the difference between increase in labor. So the first one is 0, the second one is 10. This would be also 0 or 10. That doesn't matter. Now when the labor have been increased from 1 to 2, we take 12. How did you get here 12? It's nothing but the difference between 10 and 22. 22 minus 10 is 12. So marginal production is nothing but extra units manufactured by increasing 1 unit of labor is known as marginal production. Just write down in your books. Marginal production refer to extra units manufactured by increasing 1 unit of labor. So now you understand how did you get 12? Now next, how did you get 11? 33 minus 22 is 11. Okay. Then 40 minus 33 is 7. Then for 5th unit of labor, 45 minus 50. 45 minus 40 is 5. Then 48 minus 45 is 3. 48 minus 48 is 0. Then 45 minus 48 is minus 3. So even marginal production has come to 0 and going at a negative state. This is known as MP, that is marginal production. Total production, marginal production. Is there any doubt in marginal production? Is there any doubt in the marginal production?
No, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
So this is marginal production. So marginal production 0 to that of negative. Now going to the average production. How did you get the average production? Average production is nothing but total production divided by number of units of labor. Okay, total production divided by number of units of labor. So here the first one is 10 divided by 1 is 10. Then 22 divided by 2 is 11. 33 divided by 3 is 11. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So it's nothing but total production divided by units of labor. So even this up to third unit, it is increasing. From fourth unit, it started decreasing. Average production is also decreasing. So this is all about total production, marginal production, and average production in one variable input factor production function. And it is also known as law of diminishing returns. It is also known as law of variable proportion. Is it clear, Nana? So here, MP, marginal production has come below the zero, below the origin, if you observe, isn't it? Even average production is also down falling, then total production is also down falling. So TP, AP, and MP, total production, marginal production, and average production. And please also remember, this is also known as law of variable proportion or law of diminishing returns. You need not remember the table. Just draw the diagram, explain what do you mean by production function, what do you mean by factors of production, then start explaining with one variable production function. And the assumption here is there is no change in the technology, there is no change in the labor, there is no change in the land, there is no change in the capital. All other factors are fixed except labor. Is that clear, Nana? This is known as production function with one variable input factor. Any doubts here? Any doubts, Nana?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. All of you?
Clear, ma'am.
So the next one is two variable input factor and loss of returns. So we have seen one variable input factor, and one variable input factor is also known as what are the other two names?
Law of variable proportional.
Yeah, very good. And what is the second name? Law of diminishing returns. Why we say diminishing? What do you mean by diminishing? Literal meaning of diminishing?
Decreasing.
Yeah, very good. Decreasing. So diminishing returns, law of variable proportion, law of diminishing return, or one variable input factor ante this one. This is the concept that you need to write, which is also clear in RA3. Okay. Now going to two variable input factor. So here, what are the two factors that we are taking in two variable input factor is capital and labor. Is it clear, Nana? In the case of two variable input factor, what are the two things that we are considering? We are considering capital and labor. Remaining all doesn't change. Okay. Remaining technology or remaining what we say, the other factors, organization and all, there would be no change. We only change two, that is capital and labor. And here what we do is we have different combinations of these two input factors which yield same level of output. Okay, what we do is we take different combinations of capital and labor to yield same level of output is known as two variable input factor. The combination A is 1 lakh of capital, 20 of labor. And here what we do is to yield the same level of output, if we increase one factor, we decrease the other factor. Okay, if we increase capital, we decrease the labor to have same level of output. That is known as two variable input factor and loss of return, where we take two factors of production variable, that is capital and labor. And the third important point here is, as per this law, we have 6 combinations of capital and labor to yield the same level of output. And here, as we need to yield the same level of output, what we do is, if we increase one factor of production, we decrease the other factors of production to yield the same level of output. So you can easily see in the graph, if we increase capital, we are decreasing the labor to have same level of output. And this would be studied with the help of isoquant and isocost. Okay, the two variable input factors are studied with the help of isoquant and isocost. What do you mean by isoquant? This is one isoquant which yields 20,000 units of output. This is the one isoquant which yields 20,000 units of output, which has 6 combinations. And what do you mean by isoquant? Iso means equal, quant means quantity. And isoquant have same quantity. Iso means same, quant means quantity. Isoquant means the quantities throughout an isoquant are equal. They are also called as isoproduct curve. Isoquant are also known as isoproduct curve. So this two variable input factor would give us with the help of isoquant and isocost. What do you mean by isoquant? It's a curve which gives 20,000 units of output with various combinations of capital and labor. So the first is A, B, C, D, E, F are the 6 combinations that the producer has to yield 20,000 units of labor. It is same as demand curve, that is downward sloping curve. Why? Can anyone say why is an isoquant a downward sloping curve? Anyone in the class? Capital and labor are the two factors of production. And why is isoquant downward sloping from left to right, yielding 20,000 units of output? And why is it downward sloping? Can anyone say, Nana?
As we increase the labor, we have to decrease the capital.
Very good. Who is this?
7N, ma'am.
Name and Nana Nide.
Sudhin Rao.
So very good, Nana. Right answer. Why? Because if we increase labor, we decrease capital, and if we decrease capital, we increase labor to yield same level of output. Therefore, always an isoquant is downward sloping curve. And here, let us see the features of isoquant. The first point itself is downward sloping curve. Why? Because if we increase one output, we decrease the other output. The second one is convex to the origin. Convex to the origin. Why? Because why is it not a straight line? It is a convex to the origin because these are not two perfect substitutes. Can we substitute totally capital with labor or totally labor with the capital? To an extent, but not, these are not a perfect substitutes. And it is not a straight line, but it is convex to the origin. Capital is not a perfect. You know what do you mean by substitutes? Anna, can you remember? Do you remember? What do you mean by
Yes, ma'am.
substitutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Using in case of another product, like
Yeah, very good. This or that.
tea or coffee. If tea is not there, we can use coffee.
Yeah, Colgate and Close Up.
Yeah.
These are the examples of substitutes. So can capital and labor be a perfect substitute? No, isn't it? We cannot replace capital with labor, neither labor with capital. So therefore it is convex to the origin, not a straight line. The next one is never do two isoquants intersect each other. Never will two isoquants intersect each other. Can you say why? Can you say why do two isoquants never intersect each other? This is one isoquant which gives 20,000 units of output. Do two isoquants intersect each other? No. Why? Why?
Because they will have different capital and labor.
Different?
Capital and labor.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly that, because each isoquant represents a particular level of output. If you increase your output, isoquant shifts upward. If you decrease your output, isoquant shift downward. Each isoquant represents a particular set of output. So if you increase, it shifts upward, decrease shifts downward, but never two isoquants intersect each other. Each isoquant denotes a particular level of output. Is it clear, Nana? Now going to the next one. Never touches the axis, neither the x or y. Never an isoquant touches the axis. Why? Because? Why? Why
We
does?
can't get output without capital or labor.
Yeah, without zero capital or zero labor. Very good, Nan. We can't get any output without zero capital or zero labor. So we should either have a minimum or maximum, but not at zero. So therefore, it's very important that never will an isoquant touches both the axes. That is the x-axis. X-axis denotes the labor, y-axis denotes the capital. Never will the two isoquants touches the axis. So these are the four features of isoquant. And isocost will go with the next one. Before that, we'll just take another small concept in two variable input factor, marginal rate of technical substitution. So what do you mean by marginal rate of technical substitution? Refer to at what rate are these two input factors substituted. So you can see here, I have added a fourth column, MRTS. What do you mean by MRTS? It's nothing but marginal rate of technical substitution. And at what rate are these two substitutes compensated or substituted? So if you see, the first one is 0, the second one is 5. How did you get 5? 15 minus 20 is 5. 5 is to 1. How did you get 1? 2 minus 1 is 1. Then 11 minus 15 is 4. Then 3 minus 2 is 1. So like this, MRTS is nothing but at what rate are these two factors of production compensated or substituted. That is known as marginal rate of technical substitution. Another small concept in two variable input factor. So today what we have done, what do you mean by production function? What do you mean by production analysis? What do you mean by factors of production? One variable input factor, which is also known as law of diminishing returns or law of variable proportion. Then two variable input factor will be studied with the help of isoquant and isocost. Isoquant refer to same quantities. Iso same, quant refer to quantity. Quantities towards isoquant is always same. So this is known as isoquant, and here we have two factors of production which has 6 combinations, and if we increase one, we decrease the other to yield same level of output, is known as two variable input factor. And we have 4 features of isoquant: downward sloping curve, convex to the origin, do not intersect each other, never touches the axis. So these are the 4 features of isoquant, and another concept is marginal rate of technical substitution. So this is what you have. In the case of two variable, we have the next concept as isocost, which we'll see in the next class. So I have an quiz for you, just a revision of demand forecasting. So I'll start the quiz and stop the class here.